Our 10th anniversary dinner was supposed to be special. I had reserved a quiet table at our favorite restaurant, ordered the wine my wife loved, and brought a small gift wrapped in silver paper. My wife, Nadia, seemed distracted from the moment we sat down. She kept checking her phone beneath the table and smiling at messages she refused to show me. I finally asked whether everything was okay. She smiled and said, "Of course." Then her phone buzzed again. She looked at the screen, typed something quickly, and placed the phone beside her plate. A minute later, mine buzzed too. I looked down and saw a message from Nadia, "Let's take a break from marriage." I stared at the words, thinking I had misunderstood them. I looked across the table. She was watching me carefully, almost waiting for my reaction. "You couldn't say that out loud?" I asked. She shrugged. I didn't know how. I asked why she wanted a break on our anniversary. She sighed and said she needed space. Then another message appeared, "Please don't make a scene." I almost laughed. She had just dropped a bomb on our anniversary dinner and expected me to protect her from an uncomfortable conversation. I put my phone down and studied her face. "Is there someone else?" I asked. Nadia immediately looked away. That hesitation told me everything. She finally admitted there was another man, but insisted nothing serious had happened. His name was Wesley, and he worked with her. She said they had become close because he understood her better than I did. I listened quietly while she explained how unhappy she had supposedly been for months. What bothered me most wasn't hearing about Wesley. It was realizing she had already made emotional plans for a future without me while sitting across from me at our anniversary dinner. I asked Nadia when she had planned to tell me. She said she had wanted to wait until after dinner. I nodded slowly. "So you wanted to eat the anniversary meal first, accept my gift, smile for the photographs, and then tell me our marriage was over?" She became defensive. I didn't know what else to do. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a folder. Her expression changed immediately. Inside were copies of hotel receipts, messages, and photographs I had collected during the previous month. I had suspected Wesley for weeks. I simply hadn't confronted her because I wanted undeniable proof before accusing my wife. Nadia stared at the folder as if it were something dangerous. "Where did you get these?" she whispered. I answered, "The same places you thought nobody would look." She began crying and admitted the relationship had lasted nearly 4 months. They had met secretly after work, traveled together, and told each other they were planning a future. I asked whether Wesley knew she was still married. She nodded. "Then you already took your break," I said. "You just expected me to wait while you decided whether you wanted to come back." She reached across the table, but I pulled my hand away. I called the waiter and asked for the check. Nadia looked confused. "You're leaving?" I nodded. "Yes." She begged me to stay and talk. I told her there was nothing left to discuss in a restaurant where we had just celebrated 10 years of marriage. I paid the bill, picked up the gift I had brought her, and stood. She asked what I would do with it. "I'll return it," I replied. "Someone who respects me will eventually appreciate it." Her face crumpled. I walked out without shouting or insulting her. For the first time that night, I felt strangely calm. Her decision had removed my uncertainty. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer and began the divorce process. Nadia came home expecting another conversation, but instead she found paperwork waiting on the kitchen table. She cried and said the break didn't mean she wanted a divorce. I looked at her and replied, "You asked for distance so you could decide whether you wanted me. I'm not volunteering to stand on a shelf while you compare me with another man." She promised to end things with Wesley. I told her that wasn't enough. The problem wasn't simply Wesley. The problem was that she had willingly betrayed the trust our marriage depended on. For the next several weeks, Nadia tried everything to change my mind. She sent long messages, asked my family to intervene, and even showed up at my workplace. She said she had made a terrible mistake and wanted counseling. I agreed to one final conversation. She admitted she had believed I would always be there waiting for her. That was the moment I understood why leaving was necessary. She hadn't been afraid of losing me because she assumed I would never walk away. I told her calmly, "You didn't lose me because of one mistake. You lost me because you repeatedly chose another life while expecting me to remain available." Eventually, Nadia moved out. Wesley stopped seeing her after discovering she had exaggerated how unhappy our marriage was. The future she had imagined with him disappeared almost as quickly as it had appeared. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my own life. I started exercising again, reconnected with old friends, and returned to hobbies I had abandoned during the marriage. I still had painful days, but they became fewer. I realized I didn't need Nadia to admit everything was her fault before I could heal. I only needed to accept that I deserved a relationship where love wasn't treated like something temporary or replaceable. Several months later, our divorce became final. On the date of what would have been our 11th anniversary, I went to the same restaurant alone. I ordered dinner, raised a glass, and thought about the message Nadia had sent that night, "Let's take a break from marriage." She believed she was asking for temporary freedom. Instead, she gave me the clarity to make a permanent decision. I didn't make the break permanent because I wanted revenge. I did it because marriage cannot survive when one person treats commitment as optional. Sometimes the strongest response to betrayal isn't fighting for someone to stay. It's finally choosing yourself.